What is going on YouTube? This is a video that I have been thinking about making for quite some time. It's going to be a Pixel Fold kind of versus a Samsung Fold kind of thing. So for reference, this is my Z Fold 3. I have made a video about this in the past. I'll drop that in the link down below. Now, the reason why this is a 3 and not a 4 it's because when the 4 came out, it was kind of like a 3S, and now the 5 is about to come out. It's like a 3S Plus Max Ultra or something. It's the same phone over and over again. So before I go into this video, I just wanted to let you guys know that this is going to be like me having a conversation that I would with one of my friends. Like if I were sitting down, they were to ask me which phone to go with, the Z Fold or the Google Fold. Also, we're going to be having a OnePlus Fold in the mix later this year, which is going to be pretty interesting. That has already been leaked to oblivion. There are also all of the Chinese phones, but personally, I am not really too comfortable with having a Chinese phone. Side loading all the apps that you want from Google and doing. I'd rather just stick with an American available product. Before I dive into this, I just wanted to thank you guys. We're almost at 1,000 subs. It would mean a lot if you're not subbed to drop one down below. That's just such a huge milestone. Really thankful for everyone sticking by for this long. I think there are two very important topics when it comes to folding phones, more so than any other phone really. That's how good is the hardware and how good is the software. Now you may think, oh yeah, of course that's important on any phone, and you're right, but when you have a folding phone that has like a certain aspect ratio on the outside and then it opens up to a bigger aspect ratio, this I know we call this like a tablet in your hands, but the thing, but the thing is, like, my son there, the thing is, a lot of Android apps are not made to work on these aspect ratios. So that's something that's going to come into play quite a bit, especially with these two devices. Now, what I mean by that is, say when you have the Pixel Fold over here, right, and you want to go into Reddit, and you open up Reddit, and you have this very nice little display here. Everything looks how it should. Maybe you want to now go into the big screen. You're taking a pooper or something, you're sitting down on a plane, whatever it may be. You're presented with this, where you have the app on one side of the screen, essentially the same aspect ratio that it would be on the front cover screen. Now the Fold, this is where that software thing comes into play, because this is like a Fold specific kind of thing where it leaves the app in its aspect ratio and it just kind of lets you move it side to side like that. And again, you could see with the software here doing this little dock thing, multitasking it up. Now it's like you have two outside screens on the inside screen. But personally, multitasking is cool just because of this unsupported aspect ratio in most of the apps on the inside screen. I've kind of like gotten used to watching YouTube videos while I scroll around. But honestly, a lot of the time, I really do just want to have one big version of the app. And that is where Samsung kind of comes into play. Now, they have two different schools of thought on this. What Samsung does and what other Chinese folds do is they get the app and they just force it to stretch out. So this app, let me see, see for example, this picture here, instead of it being like one nice little small picture like how it would normally look on the app, it just blows it out of proportion. Same thing for Instagram, Facebook, all that. It's just kind of like not a true, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a true solution. So in a way, I kind of give props to Google because they are kind of just throwing it in your face that these developers aren't supporting foldables really at all. And supposedly Google is trying to, get the ears of these big app makers to force them to start supporting these form factors, which if they do, that'd be pretty sick nasty. But this also kind of leads me into my next point where the Google Fold, basic Android, what everyone loves, Pixel devices for, you just kind of get what you get. Now, what I mean by that is, sure, you could download a launcher and do this, that, and what have you, but you're really just getting a very simple Google experience with this. Whereas Samsung, who are about to go on their 5th generation of folds, they have this thing called Good Lock, where you could go in and just literally change anything to your heart's content. And there's also developer options in here which allow you to do things like this and like force apps to get bigger. So the software thing has two sides. Like, yes, there's the Google UI versus Samsung One UI, or whatever Google just calls it, Android. But Samsung also has this kind of software edge on just straight supporting the folding form factor in ways kind of like here, Reddit, Twitter, Instagram. It's a cheap way of doing it. Like, it just forces it to work. But if you go over here, then you just get this. The only kind of saving grace that I would say using one app on the folding screen is doing this. Now, you still get some black bars, but it at least opens up like this. As far as software goes, one thing that the Google has, the Google Fold has that Samsung doesn't have is Google smart technologies, the Google screening, pretty much everything that everyone loves Pixels for. And this is just Samsung with One UI. Yeah, definitely not bad. I think Samsung One UI has come a long way. I thoroughly enjoy it, but I personally do prefer the Pixel. Now, another thing that kind of is annoying as far as folding software goes is when you close this, you have your main screen here, and you could swipe to the right, and then you kind of have like a second page of your screen. What I mean by that is when I open up, the first screen that you saw was here on the left. The second screen is here on the right. Pretty much what that means is you have one home screen, and it's halved when you close the device. And when you open it, you're just seeing two screens of the same home screen. Whereas on the Fold, you literally have two different screens. Like, look at, I have these 3 apps on the bottom, some Apple Music widget, just kind of trying to make it to where I'm happy with how it fits on the front display. And you open it up and you have an entirely different layout, different wallpaper, different everything. Basically, it's like having literally 2 phones in one, whereas here it's one phone in one, but also a tablet at the same time. So if I were to get down to the bottom of it, personally, software wise, I do think Samsung is winning. They have had much more time to kind of just make things work for the Fold, and it seems like Google's waiting for developers to make it work for their Fold. Like, they're not going to budge and make shortcut cut-arounds that like the Samsung Z Fold has. All right, so I think I've kind of beat the software down. I'm gonna go on the hardware here. Now, this is the coolest folding phone I've ever personally held. Had the flip, the fold, played with different phones, and Best Buys and whatnot. One phone that I've always wanted to mess around with is the Oppo Find N2. Sadly, I never got a hold of it. This is the next best thing, in my opinion, with the form factor. Now, I have this case on. I took the stickers off, so I don't really want to take it off and ruin the integrity of it. But when you hold this thing, it's like having an iPhone mini in your pocket with a very usable front screen. Like if I wanted to type something out, I could easily, get after it here. And it really does make using the front display just so pleasant. Like when you have a Z Fold, and granted, I know the Z Fold 4 is bigger by like 2 millimeters or whatever, and that little black bezel you see there is more screen. This just sucks. There's no way around it. Like it literally forces you to use the inside display for everything, because in my opinion, the outside display is only good for like checking notifications very quickly. Now I know some people do enjoy like swiping or the one-hand ability of this candy bar style of phone, but personally I love having what is essentially like an iPhone mini, or a Pixel mini rather, with a very usable wide display. My hands are kind of normal size, but I can reach to the top, and I just really enjoy this passport form factor as opposed to this. Now that also kind of brings me to the OnePlus Fold. That seems like it's going to be this height, but like a S23 Ultra's width. So like a regular big phone in front, and then an even bigger tablet in the middle. I kind of like, I don't get that. Like I like the idea of having a nice small phone and then having a big display in the center. Like why already have like a giant kind of phone on the outside and then gianter on the inside? Like I thought the whole point of folding phones was to have the best of both worlds, like a little thing and a big tablet thing, a majig. Having two huge things is not for me. It'll definitely be for some people. Some people put like giant 60-inch TVs as desk monitors, and some people have 27-inch monitors. It's just different strokes for different folks, I suppose. Another thing that I wanted to touch on briefly is these bezels. Now, the Z Fold 4, 5, probably 6, they're all going to look exactly the same on the inside. Essentially, a Pixel Fold in this orientation, and then when you open it, it's like that. These are roughly the same dimensions. They just open up differently, which kind of gives you a wider form factor here, and then this one's a taller form factor here. Realistically, you could flip-flop either one of these around and kind of get whatever viewing angles that you want, so not a huge deal on that. A lot of people complaining about the bezels on this. Honestly, it's just like the crease. You notice they're there at first, and then they just don't bother me at all. And I know it does sound cheesy, but I like holding my phone from that bezel there sometimes, and actually like closing the phone with my thumb there as leverage. On the Fold, you can do the same thing down here, and it definitely inarguably looks nicer having a giant bezel-less tablet like that. But I just know for the Fold 2 for Pixel that they're going to get rid of those bezels. I just could not have this aspect ratio on the outside. Like, I couldn't wait to get my hands on this. This outside screen is literally what sold it for me. As far as like how well the screens perform on each, all 4 screens are incredible for these phones, except of course this. Like, you're not doing anything with this. You're not watching YouTube videos. It's pretty garbage. All right, so that brings me to my next point, which is YouTube and the folding form factor, temp mode, flex mode, temp mode abilities. So here I have between 2 ferns, turn it sideways. You pretty much have the form factor of the outside screen on your YouTube video. So if I were to put that there. So here I'm playing these 2 videos in flex mode, and as you can see, the Pixel Fold's flex mode is just huge compared to the Z Folds. Like, I don't know which one you'd rather watch a video on in flex mode, but for me it's definitely this one. This, just the tall skinniness of it, you're basically getting the outside screen of each phone, whereas this one is a respectable sized width and height for its size, and this is just so tall and skinny. The amount of video that you get is just kind of like, I would never really care for flex mode in this. But this, on the other hand, is very, very doable. Like, I actually enjoy this. Just because of how the phone is weighted, I personally like flex mode like this on the outside screen. Also probably saves some battery as well, I would imagine, because you're using the outside screen. Whereas this, like, if I were to use the outside screen on here, like, why even bother at that point? As far as like the hardware goes, you got stainless steel on the Fold, which feels amazing. The phone feels weighted, extremely premium. The hinge stops at any height or width or whatever, just like the Z Fold phone does, and no issues with the hinges on either of them. The Z Fold does have that crazy amount of gappage. I know on the Z Fold 5 they are kind of like thinning it down a bit. I've heard a lot of mixed feelings on that, because like if you get dust or debris in there, there's a little bit more room to play. So if you close it, it won't like crush your screen or something like that. Whereas this folds almost completely flat. Hopefully I get that too. So this folds almost completely flat there. And I have heard of some journalist or whatever got dust in his phone after a day. I feel like that was just a sensationalist like clickbait thing that they did for clicks. I've had this for about, I don't know, since it came out, like almost 2 weeks now, and I've had absolutely zero issues with this. Hardware wise, speakers are fantastic on this pretty much any folding device. Really, what it's going to come down to is, do you want Samsung hardware that is tall and skinny, or Google hardware that is short and fat? Now, for me, the short and fat all the way. Short kings stand up, you know what I'm saying? This is just unusable for me. Now, I feel like the OnePlus Fold will be much more usable as a phone, because it will be like almost this width but this height. But then I think that is just going to be a behemoth. I do really want to see how that turns out. One other thing though about the OnePlus Fold is, it's going to actually have fast charging and all of that, which is one thing that has always just kind of grinded my gears about Pixel phones. Is I could have this thing on like 10%, plug it in a charge, and even if it's 30 watts, it'll be like fully charged in 2 hours or something, which is kind of redonkulous because the battery life on this is just kind of average. I average around maybe 5 to 6 hours of screen on time of heavy use on the inside and outside screens. Watching YouTube videos, doing my favorite thing, which is reading manga like this. This just looks incredible on this phone, by the way. I don't like that I have an average battery life and subpar charging. Like if this had like 60-watt charging, I wouldn't care if it only lasted 5 hours. I will say that does give the Z Fold a huge plus, not the 3 or the 4, but the Z Fold 5 is getting the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 millennial version, whatever. And if the S23 Ultra showed us anything, is that chip really sips on power, and that could really give bonus points for the battery life on the Z Fold 5. But you're getting absolutely no changes besides that chip. I mean, you're still gonna have this atrocious outside screen, which is just, like I said, for me it's unusable. Whereas this, I'll use the outside screen literally like 80% of the time and only bust open the inside screen when I'm watching YouTube videos or reading something. So those are the last thing that I'd really want to cover on this is the cameras. And you're getting essentially a Google Pixel 7a camera quality system here. And with the Z Folds, you're getting like a S20 FE or something like that. Definitely nothing to brag home about. Yeah, at least it has cameras, I guess, is what I would say about them. My buddy has a Z Fold 4. I've seen Z Fold 4 pictures. The Google Pixel is just inarguably a better camera. And from what I hear, the Z Fold 5 cameras, if the leaks are true, are not going to be any kind of drastic upgrade. I will say I do have a 7 Pro. The pictures from this are a little less premium than those, but Google can make a potato camera look amazing with its software, which it makes these pictures look absolutely incredible. I do plan on making like an actual photo camera video on this. I went to Vegas recently and brought this. Took a lot of cool pictures. Shout out to the homegirl Adele. I really do think that, it looks incredible. I'll go more into what the camera is like on a future video for the Fold. But if you wanted a folding phone with great like outer screenivity and a very nice camera for a folding phone, then I think you cannot go wrong with the Pixel Fold. With that being said, I think I will be staying with the Pixel Fold lineup as long as they keep this form factor. If Samsung were to ever make a folding device in this form factor, I think then we may be talking. And also the Z Fold 5, if rumors are true, is getting like a $150 price increase, which is pretty not very cash money on them. Well, you guys, that's pretty much all I have to go over for this video. If you guys liked the video, please leave a like, sub, and comment. It really does go a long way in supporting the channel. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment down below. I love conversing with you guys. Other than that, I really hope you enjoyed everything, our little chit chat, and have a nice day. Catch you later.